Hello guys, it's Diogo Trevisan. I'm here to clarify, a question that I'm always asked pretty much all the time. Should I stretch before or after exercising? That answer is not that simple, okay? If you say, go ahead and stretch before exercising, then I ask you, what about that people that can put their feet behind their head even though they've never stretched their whole entire life, they're just naturally flexible? Do they need to stretch before exercising? Does it depend on their performance, whether they're lifting weights or doing like a long run like a marathon? What about the tight one, the tight type? Muscle tightness, collagen type 1, it's in their structure, they're tight all the time. Do they need to stretch before exercising or after? So, to answer this question, I gotta use a little bit of my knowledge. As a physical therapist, I've been practicing for 8 years in orthopedics, trauma, posture, sports, and I'm gonna use a little bit of research that, I always read articles to see if something new comes up, like evidence. Even though I repeat all the time, in medicine, 2 plus 2 doesn't equal 4. Sometimes I disregard completely what researchers say and I do my own thing because that's what I see, in front of me. I'm always assessing the patient. So that's pretty much my answer. I'm always assessing the patient, I'm always assessing the situation. Now, what I'm gonna invite you to think about, there are a lot of people, a lot of therapists that say you shouldn't stretch before exercising. You should only stretch after. Now, they defend that based on something. I don't know what, like if it's a book or some research they came across from the 1920s or something. But this is completely not true. This is completely false, okay? Stretching before exercising has been demonstrated in the neuromuscular plasticity, that the actin and the myosin have a relationship and they relate better after a stretch. Has to do with their alignment and how they couple during contraction. So it's been demonstrated a million times that stretching before exercise improve the relationship of your muscle contraction, the actin and myosin, and the soft tissue flexibility, the performance of the movement. And I'll give you an example of performance. The posterior hip muscles can tuck your butt in when you're squatting all the way down or starting a deadlift position. So to keep the pelvis in anteversion so your back can be nice and straight, you need to have good flexibility on the posterior hip muscles. And some people, if they don't loosen it up before exercising, before performing the exercise, they cannot perform the same. So a perfect example of this is my cousin Hector. He competed in the Southern Powerlifting Federation in Alabama, and he has posterior tight hip muscles. It took him a while to figure it out because when he went really heavy, he would have like some low back pain. But then I introduced the hip stretch before exercising. And when he was here in Miami for a while, I did it myself. I did the passive stretch, and his performance just got so much better. And he pretty much set new PRs and everything after he introduced the posterior hip stretch before exercising. Another example is Olympic lifters. They have to do like a full snatch and go all the way up. And if they don't stretch their shoulder before snatching, it's almost like that locking position all the way back doesn't happen. They don't feel safe. They feel that they need to stretch their shoulders before performing the snatch. Now, if you are a tight body type, and I know some people that are so tight that it's almost like pathological, even though it's not, it's normal. They need to stretch all the time, before, after, in the morning, at night, as they're sleeping. They have to stretch all the time because some people are just so hard in their constitution, in their body, in the cellular level. For people that are hyper flexible, it doesn't apply because even if you're lifting weights or running a marathon or whatever it is, the stretch may be unnecessary if they're hyper flexible. When you're looking at range of motion, how the joint has to move, like the example of deep squat or the starting the deadlift position or the snatch, if you have more flexibility than necessary, then what you're looking at as a injury prevention is a very good warm-up. And hands down, everyone, even the tight type, everyone needs a very good warm-up. Low weight, high reps, go through the motion, prepare your body, warm up your joints. That's hands down necessary. The stretch is not, okay? A lot of people are gonna disagree with what I'm saying, but then, like I said, I've been doing it for 8 years, and they look at their performance. I try introducing the stretch, I take off the stretch, I see how they perform, and I've been experimenting with that. And you hear like people that have been competing for a long time, like gymnasts that are hyper flexible, or dancers, I see, I've worked on people that run track that are hyper flexible, that lift weights, they're bodybuilders, they're hyper flexible, they don't perform as well. They actually don't perform as well if they stretch before exercising. So my answer is that assess the patient in front of you, or assess yourself. See what works for you. If you're the tight type, you're always limited, you don't have full range of motion in your joints, you need to stretch all the time, specifically before exercising. No doubt, hands down, before exercising you need to, like the example of the powerlifting I gave. But if you're hyper flexible, you may not need that you may not need the stretch, but you definitely need the warm-up. Okay? Let me know if you guys have any questions. Any critics are welcome. Let me know if you have any questions. I'll answer them for you. Thank you so much.